All right, we will now take a look at a hollow histogram, which is a way of comparing a numerical variable across the different levels of a categorical variable. So it says here, a survey was given to 232 people that asked if they have college degrees and what was their annual salary. Click the link, download CSV, to download the results as a CSV file. Alright, so I'll click this and it'll download the hollow histogram CSV here. And then they want me to read the CSV into Python as a data frame. Alright, so in order to read that CSV as a data frame, I'm going to use the Python library called pandas. And the code for that is given down here. So I can import pandas as PD. So I'm going to import pandas and give it the alias PD. I'm also going to import Seaborn, but Seaborn is what I'm going to use to actually create the histogram. So right now I'm just going to import pandas, P-A-N-D-A-S, as PD. And when I import pandas as PD, it's going to allow me to create the data frame using pandas's read_CSV method. In order to use that, though, I'm going to need to know the file path. I'm going to need to know where this file I downloaded is. And I'm going to use this Files menu over here in Google Colab in order to open up the file on my computer and put it on Google server. So I first click that Files menu, and then when the File menu opens up, I'm going to click this icon, which is Upload to Session Storage, so I can upload the CSV I just downloaded to my computer. And here it is, hollow histogram data. That is the CSV I just downloaded, so I'm going to open it. And it gives me a reminder that this is only in the session storage. Once this runtime is over, this hollow histogram.csv is going to be erased from Google server. So I click OK. And there it is, hollow histogram. It's now in my content drive, in my Google Drive actually, on Google server. So I'm going to now use pandas to create a data frame from this CSV. All right. In order to do that, I'm going to need to use this line. DF is the name of my data frame. Pandas, I gave it the alias PD, so I'm calling pandas here. And the specific method from pandas I want to use is read CSV, but I need the file path. So to get the file path, I'm going to come here and hover over the hollow histogram file on my Google Drive. I'm going to go over to the vertical dots, these three vertical dots, click it, left click that, and then one of the options I get when I left click it is copy path. That's going to copy the file path for me. So now the file path is saved into my my computer's memory there, saved into my clipboard. And now I'm going to create my data frame. I'm going to name it DF. So the name of my data frame is DF, and it's going to be equal to, and I'm going to call pandas as PD, the alias I gave it. And it's going to be PD dot, the specific method I'm using is read CSV. So read CSV right here. So read CSV is the one I'm using. Then I'm going to open a parenthesis so I can use the method. I'm going to type single quotes. So I'm going to type in some single quotes here. And then in those single quotes, I'm going to paste the file path that I just copied. So I'm going to hit Control V to paste that file path. And there it is. These two lines of code will import pandas and use pandas to create the data frame. And if I want to see what the data frame looks like, I can use this line of code that just says df.head, so I can see what the top of the data frame looks like. When I run it, I see that the data frame has two variables, one called degree, which is either a yes or a no, whether the person has a degree, and their salary in thousands of dollars. So the first person that has a degree makes $78,000. The second person doesn't have a degree and makes 58,000. Third person doesn't have a degree and makes 67,000, and so forth. And there are 232 of these entries. If you want to see what it looks like on the bottom, instead of head, you can do the tail, and it'll show you the last 5 entries. So you still have degree and salary, but these are the last 5. This is the 232nd entry, or the 232nd observation. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create my hollow histogram now. And the code I'm using to create that hollow histogram is the Seaborn import. So I'm going to import Seaborn, and then I'm going to use Seaborn, which I nicknamed SNS. I'm going to use Seaborn, and the method I'm going to use from Seaborn is called histplot. Histplot. So let me just add another code cell here. Add a code cell, and I'm going to import Seaborn as SNS. So I imported Seaborn as SNS here. So now I'm going to call Seaborn, which I nicknamed SNS, and the specific method I want to use is called histplot, which is just a histogram plot. And into this, I'm going to feed a few things. First, I'm going to tell it where to find the data. Well, my data can be found in the data frame called df. So I type data equals df. Then the other thing I want to tell it is the numerical variable that I want to create the histogram for. So I'm going to call that x. And x in this case, the numerical variable in this data frame, is actually salary. So I'm going to let x equal salary. Salary. Oops. So I make a single quote here, and I type in there salary. So now it knows that I want to create a histogram using the data frame, but the specific variable I want to create the histogram for is salary, the numerical variable. I also want to give it the hue, which is the categorical variable by which I want to sort my numerical values. So I'm going to sort the salaries by whether or not the person has a degree. I'm going to put a comma in here, and that's going to be my hue. So hue is equal to the categorical variable that I'm going to use to sort the numerical variable. And the categorical variable I want to use is degree. So I'm going to type a single quote and put in that single quote degree. So this will give me the salary variable separated by whether the person has degree or not in a histogram. The last couple of parameters I want to put in here after hue, or the last one actually, is because I want to create a hollow histogram, I'm going to make the type of histogram, which is called element in Seaborn, I'm going to let the type of histogram be a step. So I'm just going to let the last parameter here be element, and it's going to equal step, and that step has to be in quotation. So here I'm calling Seaborn, I called it SNS, and the specific value, or the specific method in Seaborn I want to use is histplot. So I do sns.histplot. The data is coming from the data frame I call df. The variable I'm using is salary. As you can see, it's the heading for this variable here. And I want to group that by the degree. So I let the hue equal degree. So I'm grouping it by degree. And I want this to be a step histogram, so it can look like the hollow histograms do in your book. And then I run this, and it creates the hollow histogram. So it seems like the orange are the people who don't have degrees, and the blue are the people that do have degrees. So there are some people who don't have degrees that make just as much as those with degrees, but a majority of the people who don't have degrees make less. And as you can see, the mode of the people with degrees is higher than the mode for the people without. So the amount that people without degrees makes is spread out further. It has a wider distribution. It's spread further. But it does seem as though the people who, a few people who do not have degrees make just as much as people with degrees in this graphic here. So we can paste this in to the question right here. Just copy it and paste it. And then answer this question. Do those who answered yes to college degree question appear to have the same salary as those who answered no? Well, not in general. No, it seems like a majority of the people without college degrees earn less than a majority of the people with college degrees. And that's how we create a hollow histogram.